Now, the horrific discovery in Kamloops has certainly put truth and reconciliation back in the spotlight at One Toronto University. Last month, Ryerson University's First Nation-led research centre, the Yellowhead Institute, issued an open letter announcing their students and faculty would refer to the school as X-University. Now, they would like to see the name and the statue of Egerton Ryerson removed, as he is considered one of the main architects of Canada's residential school system. And the Prime Minister was asked about the name change during a discussion with the university yesterday. Take a listen to what we heard from Justin Trudeau.
And it becomes really difficult to try and shift that. But having those conversations is more than just having a conversation about the name of a team or the name of a statue or university. It has to do about the impact of those names and those histories on people who don't always get listened to.
Now, joining us to talk about this is Sam Howden. They are a co-author of the X-University letter and one of its signatories. Sam, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Listen, I want to begin here with a very basic question. Why do you think Ryerson University should change its name and remove the statue from campus?
I think there is really no debate here about Indigenous people's humanity at this point. Obviously, we've galvanized more and more media attention at the moment because of the loss of the stolen and murdered children that were found in Kamloops. Why we have to change the name is because this is an oppressive figure who is a part of a terrible history related to cultural genocide and related to many other interconnecting issues that Indigenous people are still struggling with to this day. I don't really see how at this point we could not remove the statue or change the name.
Now, there will be those who hear this and wonder if putting Ryerson's legacy into context would actually be enough to address the concerns. And arguably, this is not because of the man per se, but the hard work people have put into building the university's name and reputation, the hard work graduates did in earning their degrees. How would you respond to that?
In Indigenous communities, names are very important. Names give us direction, responsibility. They give us our gifts in our life and what we have to do. And there's something that has to be done and rectified in this history at the institutional level to do the same thing, to look after the people whose land we're on. We're only starting to have these conversations now in a more serious capacity, but this conversation has been ongoing at the university. Reputation is not as important as our humanity, and reputations can still be maintained under new name management.
Mm-hmm. Now, the university, as you know, does have a standing strong committee, and this committee is looking into the issue. The co-chairs say they have been in consultation with academics, with the university community members, and they are committed to issuing a report to the president before the start of the next fall semester. Why not wait for that report first before moving ahead with these calls of action?
Because this is an extremely colonial mechanism, and it's something that we see at every different level of institutional in institutions and in government. There have been time and time again where Indigenous community members are included in a consultation process, and usually these consultation processes end up in a document, like we've seen with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which we've seen with the 2SMMIWG, and the problem is that we don't see enough action come out of these entities. And we constantly have to prove ourselves in these ways, which I think is also quite frustrating and honestly wears people down at a spiritual, mental, and emotional and physical level. So that's my response to that.
Mm-hmm. Now, if the university does change the name and removes the statue, what does that say to you about the moment of truth and reconciliation that we are currently in?
It would be very important, and it goes beyond words as to what that would mean to everyone who's been impacted by the residential school system, our relatives, people we are not related to, our community overall, because of because of what happened there. I would hope that if this did happen, that this would start to promote folks to get to know Indigenous people on a deeper level and understand not just the symptoms and the negative stereotypes that they see in the media, but who we really are as people and how diverse we are. Mm-hmm. And I really hope that, through if this action were to happen, I would say that reconciliation is happening. But it will take a lot more work to really undo all of the colonial violence and systemic violence that continues to happen to Indigenous people across the country.
And if the university doesn't change the name, what does that say to you?
There's a lot of work that still needs to be done.
Sam, thank you for this. I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much.
That's Sam Howden, a student and co-author of the letter calling for the renaming of Ryerson University in Toronto.